Once you've looked at both of the claims and you have identified or thought of reasons or evidence that support the claims, your goal is to actually trace how an author develops an argument. So that is, think about what is what is the reason or what is the evidence that the author uses? What is the claim that they're making? And your goal is to evaluate it further to decide if it is sound. So a couple of questions you can ask yourself to actually do that evaluation or that judging. Does each claim support the author's argument and make sense? Does the author give reasons and evidence that support each claim? If you can ask and answer those questions, you'll be able to distinguish or identify strong sound arguments from weak ones. Now, for your actual activity today, you are going to complete the second part of this reading. I will read through the first part of the text, talk through the argument, claims, and reasons with you, and then you will finish reading the essay and answer the questions on the Google form based on your reading. Okay? So let's get started. This reading is from a persuasive essay, and it is called today's lesson, Hip Hop by Anita Perry. Year after year, most literature classes cover the same authors and genres. It's time that educators made a change. For teachers to keep current and engage students, we must allow students to read diverse texts from their own generation. As a first step, hip-hop should be included in the literature curriculum. This suggestion is not as odd as it may seem. After all, hip-hop is simply another form of poetry, as are all song lyrics. The verses of hip-hop have rhyme schemes, rhythms, and meters. In addition, hip-hop lyrics deal with the same tireless themes as other forms of poetry, including heartache and the challenges of growing up. In many ways, today's hip-hop artists are contemporary versions of William Shakespeare and Emily Dickinson, only with a modern, fresh perspective. All right, so from this excerpt of our persuasive essay, our question that we are trying to answer is, what is the author's argument and how does she support it with claims, reasons, and evidence? First, identify what the author wants to convince you about. Okay, so overall, if we look at what this text was about, we know that it's about hip hop and it's about literature. So I think that this ending sentence is a great summary of the author's argument. Hip hop should be included in the literature curriculum. This is what the author is trying to prove. Teachers should use hip hop in class. Now, what are the claims that she uses to support why her position is sound? Her first claim that she makes in that second paragraph is that hip-hop is a form of poetry. All right, so our goal now is to figure out what evidence does she give that shows us that hip-hop is poetry. Hip-hop is simply another form of poetry. Okay, we see this, so let's see how she proves that. The verses of hip-hop have rhyme schemes, rhythms, and meters. Okay, so just like poems, these hip-hop verses have some of the same sort of structure that poetry does. So that's a great sort of piece of evidence to support her claim that hip-hop is like poetry. Now, in our second box, we have a reason, but we have to identify what claim that reason supports. So the reason is that hip-hop lyrics deal with topics such as heartache and the challenge of growing up. Okay, so what evidence does that support? Well, if I go find that in the text, okay, so it says hip-hop lyrics deal with the same tireless themes as other forms of poetry, including heartache and the challenges of growing up. Okay, so the author is claiming that hip-hop lyrics have the same themes as other types of poetry or other forms of literature. The evidence then is that they deal with the topics such as heartache and the challenge of growing up. So her argument overall is that teachers should use hip-hop in their curriculum. Her first claim is that hip-hop is a form of poetry based on the fact that it has rhymes, rhythm, meters, etc. Her second claim is that hip-hop lyrics or hip-hop addresses the same sort of themes as other types of literature, and her reason or evidence she gives is that the lyrics deal with the same sort of topics like heartache and the challenge of growing up. Now, for your lesson, you are going to continue reading these next 2 paragraphs, and then make sure you hop back over to the lesson 18 Google form, answer the 2 questions, and then you will be done today. Make sure that you have your evaluating arguments and informational text lesson on iReady finished by Friday, April 10th, and then spend some time on Lexia as well, and you will be all set for the day. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, everybody.